So my name is Dr. Lucy Ballard. I am the SOUL program coordinator. I have a PhD in the study of religion. I did dissertation work in civic organizing in the Muslim community in the city of Detroit. And so this is my landing place is here at the Hart Leadership Program. So I'm going to be your guide this evening through the Service Opportunities in Leadership, or SOUL program, in addition to my four lovely panelists here, who you already saw modeling the kind of cohort vibe and energy of the SOUL program. And so I'll introduce them in just a second, but just to give you a sense of where we're heading tonight, we have a sign-in form. Don't forget to sign in. We're going to talk a little bit about Hart Leadership Program in general. If you're not familiar, we're going to talk about SOUL itself, and we're going to break down each of the program components. We're going to have each of our past and current SOUL fellows talk through one of those components, so you can hear about it from someone who's gone through the program before. And then we're going to open it up for some Q&A with our fellows and with me as well. So just to pop back over here. So I'll go ahead and introduce our panelists here really quickly, and we'll have a chance to hear more from them here in a bit. So we've got Sally Maroa, who is in our current SOUL class, and is, I believe, a sophomore. No, a junior? Oh. Here, I'll just let y'all introduce yourselves. And then we have, oh no! I've made an error in my slideshow, but we have Sean Smith is here, and you are a
senior.
Okay, fabulous, from last year's SOUL cohort. So not Nick Narayan, this is Sean Smith. And then we have Krishna Shah, who is a junior, great. It's tricky because all of our programs start mid-year, so it's tough to stay on top. So we have Krishna, and then we have Jason, who I know for sure last year was a first-year student and is now a sophomore, and is in the current SOUL class as well. Okay, so to give you all a sense of the Hart Leadership Program, first of all, who's familiar with the Hart Leadership Program? Who has encountered us before? Okay, very cool. So the Hart Leadership Program challenges and prepares students to practice the art of leadership for public life. And we do this in a couple of different ways. We offer academic courses, especially those offered by our Hart-affiliated faculty members here at the Sanford School of Public Policy. So if you're considering a public policy major or are currently a public policy major, many of the electives that you can choose and that are on offer are affiliated with us through your faculty members. But in addition, our kind of core work with undergraduates is through our experiential learning programs. And under the umbrella of the Hart Leadership Program, there are actually 5 programs. SOUL is just one of them. So I would encourage all of you to stay on the lookout for other opportunities, but tonight we're going to focus on service opportunities in leadership. So what is SOUL? Service opportunities in leadership has been around for like 30, 35 years. It's one of our longest running programs. It goes all the way back to the early 90s in its earliest iteration. In that iteration, it was really this kind of like grant funding program that supported community engaged research. And as you'll hear tonight, it sort of changed and morphed over the years into what it is now, which is this real deep engagement in community leadership practice, deep engagement with your values and motivations as you kind of develop your own model of leadership and social change. And here's just kind of a little teaser of some of the students at work in their summer experiences. And as you can see, kind of a range of issues and communities that students have worked with over the years. So service opportunities in leadership is a nationally recognized intensive, we kind of talk about it as this intensive experience. And it's 12 months, a kind of sequence that goes from your spring gateway course into an 8-week immersive summer experience, and then concludes with a capstone seminar where you kind of come back to campus and are kind of debriefing and thinking through that summer experience, drawing meaning and learning out of that experience. So SOUL is going to be a really great fit for a student who is eager to kind of deepen your work with community, explore social change, explore complex social issues, and really wants to think and reflect very deeply about your why. Like, why are you here at Duke? What is the value and purpose of your education? And what are you going to do with that going forward? So I think we'll turn now to our panelists who I've poorly introduced to introduce each component of this program. So we're going to have Sally talk to y'all about the Gateway course, which is taught by Professor Alexandra Zagbayu, and the course is titled Leading in and with Community.
Yeah, so yeah, as Lucy mentioned, my name is Sally. Leading in and with community is, I think, like a very good intro into both like fostering reflection on like what community means to you, like first like defining what that means and thinking about like what your role in a community is, both as a leader but also just like as a general participant, and then also supporting you as you start to think more about what you want your summer experience to be, not just in terms of like where you are placed or where you end up, but like what you want it to mean to you, what you want to learn, and how you want to engage with the communities that you will find yourself in throughout the summer, regardless of where they are. So I think Professor Zagbayu definitely pushes you to reflect very heavily on like the practitioners that we interact with through like our readings, really thinking about the theories of change that we read, the theories of leadership and community that we read, but then also not only thinking about that in terms of just like very abstract theoretical, but really bringing it down to earth and like connecting it very deeply to your personal experience. So you will have to like, it's like it encourages you to very deeply reflect, to kind of bare your soul a little. I feel like it's a great way to like get to know your classmates. You kind of go through a lot of like collective learning and reflection, and she will not let you get off with easy answers. You ask really hard questions that, you know, like you question a lot, and sometimes you don't arrive at answers, and you learn how to be okay with that a lot of the time. But it gives you a really good foundation to kind of go into the summer knowing what your why is, knowing what kind of community participant you want to be, and you know, it allows you to make sure that you maximize the 8 weeks that you have in terms of being able to gain from that.
Thanks, Sally. Can you talk just a little bit about some of the assignments that you take on during the class?
Yeah, so throughout the class you have, they were weekly writing reflections, so you'll, like throughout the class you'll have assigned readings from people like Peter Block, Valerie Carr. All of these people are like civic leaders, academics, practitioners, activists, some of them, and Dr. Zagbayu or Professor Zagbayu will encourage you to connect those readings to your personal experience in those reflections, and sometimes the reflections will have more of a like kind of group component where you'll provide feedback on them. The capstone sort of final presentation is like as you go throughout, like as you navigate the process of finding your summer partner, the capstone is kind of like you letting your cohort know this is where I'll be during the summer, and then it also allows you to reflect on what you have learned and how you plan on applying that to the summer, and then some questions that you will be going into the summer with that you have kind of honed throughout the semester. And then you also do what's called an asset map, which once you find your community partner, an asset map is kind of tied to like the location of where your community partner will be and where your summer will be spent. And that allows you to do a lot of research into the community that you'll be spending time in, sort of figure out like the cultural context, the historical context, which may be more personal if that's like a community that you'll be returning to, might be a good opportunity to learn about the community if it's somewhere you've never been, and that will also inform your final presentation. I think those are the main components.
Fabulous. Thank you, Sally. So the Hart Leadership Program overall, we kind of think about leadership training and preparation in this kind of 3-sequence way. So we want to provide you with preparation, we want to provide you with opportunities to reflect, and we want to provide you with opportunities to take action. So, so the SOUL sequence is really structured in that way. So the Gateway course is that like preparation piece. We're kind of preparing you for the experience that you will have working alongside communities and taking on kind of that real-world leadership practice. So the Gateway course, as Sally described, is again, sort of really a core piece of that is providing the theories and frameworks to take on that summer work, and also as a kind of practical conversation and sort of conversation over that whole semester in preparation for your project. So a real kind of what organization are you going to work with? How are you in conversation with your supervisors about that project, about that work? And so this is, again, sort of smattering of images to demonstrate some of the range of things that folks have done. Mariana at the top left worked in El Paso. Rishabh there working with the City of Durham's budget and management services. So a real range of opportunities. And so I think I'll turn the floor over to Krishna to talk a little bit about your summer work and in general kind of your understanding of the goals and experience of the summer.
I'm gonna use the mic. Hi, I'm Krishna. I'm in the same cohort as Sally and Jason, and I completed my summer experience over this past summer. And I guess to kind of build off of what Sally said, in the Gateway course, you're really thinking, while you're taking the class, throughout that time, you're also in search of a community partner, aka an organization that you're gonna spend those, at minimum, 8 weeks with during the summer. And I think having the Gateway course while you're searching for a community partner is really important, because I think it's really easy to just go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna try and do the most in a specific realm of policy, and I'm gonna go to the largest organization, or I'm gonna work directly with the city council or government. It's very easy to kind of measure the type of work you want to do with the prestige of a specific community organization. But with the Gateway course, you kind of are forced to reframe your mind, because when you're confronted with questions of, well, why am I pursuing a specific organization, or why am I pursuing a specific policy, you tend to realize a lot of the assumptions you've made, a lot of the gaps in your own knowledge of what it means to actually be a large contributor to a certain cause or to a certain community. What does that action look like, and what are the ethics behind that, and how do you do this ethically? And your summer experience, you don't necessarily need to know now. For a lot of people in my cohort, it changed quite a bit, and that's normal. For me, I'm very hard-headed, and so I came in to the Seoul open house a year ago in your seats, and I went to Professor Nurkin and I was like, hi, I want to be in Puerto Rico over the summer. Can you get me to Puerto Rico? And he said, yeah. And I went to Puerto Rico this summer. A little context about me. I'm from Miami. I'm half Puerto Rican. I grew up going to the island, and all my family there on my mom's side is still there. And I wanted to go to the island because I hadn't been there in over 3 years, because a lot of my interests involve economic development, especially in post-colonial areas, or in the case of Puerto Rico, the longest colony in history. And so it was really important for me to simply be there. And so I framed a lot of my questions on the region, and not necessarily a specific policy issue, because I just wanted to be in community with them. And then with the guidelines of the Gateway course, I started to think, okay, you can't just plop somewhere. You can't just take a plane and, work for the first organization there. You need to have some rhyme or reason to it. And with the Gateway course, I think it helped me prioritize a specific work environment that was very important to me, a specific framing of issues that was really important to me, in not viewing my community, in not viewing my family as a problem, but rather as a community that has a rich, long history of resilience and culture. And I wanted an organization that would promote that in the work that they did. And so I ended up working with Mi Patria Puerto Rico, which is based in Isabela, which is kind of in the northwest area of the island, which I had never been to before. Which also meant I wouldn't be staying with my family like I initially expected to. But that ended up being quite a blessing in disguise, because I got to make friends with people on the island, and I felt like such a grown-up, where I was kind of speaking with my coworkers, having similar conversations to the ones that the Gateway course kind of had instilled in me. And it was I loved having a community there. And so speaking a little more on the work I specifically did, Mi Patria focuses on preventing displacement of Puerto Ricans, specifically veterans in vulnerable communities such as children or disabled individuals who tend to be older as well. We work on 3 pillars, specifically focusing on sustainable housing, emergency services, and veteran mental health. And so I was an operations intern, and because it's a very small grassroots level, like nonprofit, I ended up wearing like a lot of hats over the summer, ranging from remote work, where I would be writing grant proposals, to being in person and like demolishing homes, to interviewing our beneficiaries and providing mock-ups for our social media. I was also a representative in a political campaign that my organization was a part of. And so like I got to see a lot of different aspects of this nonprofit work, a lot of the behind the scenes. And in the end, I left with a lot more questions than answers. And I think that's kind of where the capstone will come in. But yeah, that's my experience.
Great, thanks so much, Krishna. And Krishna highlighted some important logistical pieces. The immersive summer experience should be at least 8 weeks in duration, continuous, so not kind of breaking it up into different pieces. So 8 weeks continuous with your organization. It can be anywhere in the world, and you receive funding to support that summer experience. What else do I want to highlight? Oh, there are kind of 2 broad options for that summer experience. The first is a kind of basically a community partner internship, again, with the kind of organization of your choosing. That should be with a public sector or nonprofit organization. And the other option is what we broadly refer to as a kind of ground-up project, again, grounded with a community partner organization. But it can really be built out of, for example, an existing partnership that you already have with an organization. We also have had, in the past, students conducting photography documentary projects, these kinds of things, but again, deeply rooted with a kind of community partner. And I also want to highlight 2 additional kind of basically broad goals for that immersive summer experience. The first is thinking especially about like what kind of partnership, what kind of organization would I be working with. One of those goals is to be proximate or close to the communities that are most impacted by the issues at hand, that are deeply accountable to the communities most impacted. So we want that sense of kind of closeness. And then the other piece is we really want our Soul Fellows to be connected with community-minded leaders, folks that you get to build a relationship with, you get to work alongside them, you get to observe their leadership practices and models as you are developing your own sense of what it looks like to work in that particular kind of organization, what it looks like to do this kind of work. So those 2 pieces are really important in the development of that immersive summer experience. So another key piece, so we don't sort of just send you out and then say, come back in the fall semester. Instead, we provide a real cadence of summer assignments, reflective assignments, that allow you to periodically think and write critically and reflectively about your experience. And in the case of the 2 letters home, which Jason will talk about in just a moment, you have the opportunity to have a real conversation with a Hart Leadership Program faculty member during your time kind of in the field and with your organization. So I'll turn it to Jason to talk a little bit about the letters home and the impact of those letters on your summer experience.
Yeah, for sure. So the 2 letters home are a couple of the assignments you'll have throughout the summer. They're going specifically to the capstone teacher. His name's Professor Nurkin. We'll probably go into that course in a second. But those letters home, they kind of serve as like the main reflection of those assignments. The others are, sending pictures and explaining what you're up to, or like a recap, and like also an intro as you're going into summer experience. So you'll have like an intro where you explain what you're doing to the entire cohort, and then at the end you'll have kind of like a project where you submit essentially like a special thing you did over the summer. And then the 2 letters home are kind of in between. So that's kind of the timeline for that. And the two letters home, like I said, they like serve as like the main reflection throughout the summer. As Krishna said, you're going to have a lot of questions coming out of the summer, a lot of questions throughout the summer, and you're always going to have questions throughout this experience. The two letters home really, like, you get to ask those to your professor, your future professor, and really, start to think through those going into that capstone course. For me as well, a lot of my work, I worked in Durham with a nonprofit called Vets to Vets, and they match service dogs with veterans, and so a lot of my work was like being with veterans and training service dogs, and I'm hoping to get certified in that soon. So a lot of this is going to be like, I guess, just learning more about your experience and just going into it deeper. And Professor Nurkin will typically respond to your letter with the same length that you give him. That's another key thing about this. So like, it really serves to just help you better understand what's going on around you and to ask those questions. A lot of times there won't be answers, and that's okay. So,
Yeah, and I think the encouragement in general is like that the letter home is sort of yours to do with kind of as you will. The encouragement often being to maybe highlight a moment that stuck with you. Well, why did it stick with you? What questions did it raise? Was there an experience that you had that you're still chewing on or thinking about? So, it can be as micro as you would like, but really is there to kind of spark a real just first opportunity to start reflecting on some of your experience after you're having them, to then come into the capstone experience, which Sean will talk about in just a minute, and then have a chance to like really debrief and get into it, get into that experience. So the capstone course, as many panelists have referred to, is taught by Professor Andrew Nurkin, who is also the Hart Leadership Program Director. And that course is titled Communities of Practice. And so 3 of our panelists are currently in that class. Sean, as a sole fellow for 2024, completed the full sequence. So we'll have Sean describe the capstone course and the impact of that course on your sole experience.
Thank you, Lucy. Like Lucy said, my name is Sean. I'm a senior here at Duke, public policy major. I did SOL sophomore spring going into junior fall. So with the capstone course, like basically the main thing is it's a reflective piece. So like the panelists up here have already said, you're going to come up with a lot of questions. So you'll come up with a lot of questions during talk values class, during your summer experience as well. And this will be kind of that opportunity to think about those questions and ask yourself, what can I do about this? What can be done? Is this something that can be solved, or is this something we just kind of have to let be in life? It's very theoretical in a way. That's kind of just how a lot of the readings are in general. But you'll see that too with the readings in Urgent's class, that they're from community practitioners or practitioners, but they can be very theoretical and kind of getting you to think about the broad level of like what community means, what leadership means, and how that kind of develops into like your personal leadership practice and what you've gotten from that outside of that, or like from your summer experience. I think in terms of the structure of the course, we started the course kind of like reviewing our summer experience, so we did like presentations on that. You might go back to like your letters from home for a minute and kind of think about some of those questions or reflective pieces that you had in there. You'll also talk, of course, we do a lot of small group work in both classes, but in the capstone 1, 2, of course, you'll do kind of small groups within your cohort to discuss. While this is on my head, what I love about the capstone course is kind of like by that end point, at least my cohort, we were all really tight, so we all knew each other a lot better. And more importantly, like we understood each other. And so that's kind of understanding what are our values, what's important to us, what are the things that make us, really want to be community leaders in this world. I think that's kind of a really beautiful thing to be on that kind of same like level with your peers. The rest of the course is kind of building towards your capstone like research project. So the fun thing with the capstone research project, it doesn't have to be based on anything that you like already researched. Probably not too like far off, but you can like branch out a little bit. So my summer work was based in like housing policy for underrepresented communities, and then I ended up doing a capstone research based on, what was that? It was basically miscommunication in Black communities when it came to like election work, politics in general. And then the other assignments in the course, you kind of break down that final course into multiple parts. So you'll do like a whole book reading of your choice, like an annotated bibliography of your resources for what you're researching. I think you also do the reflective writing pieces as well throughout the course. And so these are a little more different, less like cut out your bleeding heart and more of just like truly trying to make sense of what it is that you're reading and that you're learning. Yeah, it's, what did I want to say? I don't want to say it's frustrating. I think what can be frustrating is like having all these unanswered questions and being kind of uncertain about how you want to move through the world, through the spaces that matter to you. But this class is really a great opportunity to get you better answers to those questions and allow you to really reflect more. So reflect is a great area.
Does that resonate with your current experience in the capstone course?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's the sort of full soul experience from spring 2026 all the way to fall 2026. So before we open the floor for some Q&A and hear a little bit more from our panelists, I just want to talk a little bit more about the application timeline. So the application is live, yeah! So the link is there. You can also totally go to our website. All the information is there as well. If you're not following us on Instagram, that's also a great place to get constant reminders about applying to this program. You can apply online until Wednesday, October 1st at 11:59 p.m. So I would encourage you to click into the application link to just take a look at what we're asking. It'll be, I think we're asking for a resume and then some thoughtful but concise responses to 3 essay questions. And if you do have any questions about the application process, or even just want to have a one-on-one conversation about your fit for Soul, your interests, your goals, you're very welcome to schedule office hours with me or just shoot me an email. So that's kind of your best way to learn a little bit more about the program, in addition to seeking out the many Soul Fellows that are around on campus, if you haven't already. Decisions for Soul are going to go out a couple of weeks after the application closes, so about Monday, October 20th at 5 p.m. So be on the lookout in your emails. There will be, there's usually like some waitlisted folks, so if you're on the wait list, you'll be notified at that point. And then also, if you're accepted, you'll receive your permission code to join the spring gateway course. And then the last thing I'll just flag in terms of, again, timeline is your first introduction to the Soul community will be at the Hart Leadership Program's Summer Programs Orientation. And there will be a special kind of Soul breakout group where you'll get to know your cohort, meet Professor Zagbayu, and start to do a little bit of the prep work towards just being ready to come into the Spring Gateway course with some ideas for your summer work. So that is the application process, and I think we will go ahead and again, there is a typo on this slide. This is not Nick Narain, this is Sean Smith. But I would love for us to now just open the floor for some Q&A, and that can be with our fellows, or you're welcome to address any questions too. Okay, great.
This is not a logistical question, but like I'm a sophomore now and I'm planning to go abroad junior fall, so would that mean like I couldn't participate next year? How does it work?
That's a great question. Yeah, so unfortunately, if you are studying abroad in the spring semester or the fall semester, you won't be able to participate in SOL. You have to be on campus for the full, both of those semesters. Yeah. Oh, and when you ask your question, if you can just say your name and maybe your class year.
My name is Tucker. I'm a freshman. How many people get accepted?
That's a great question. We're typically shooting for a cohort of about 15, but each year it varies a little bit. Yeah. Over here.
I'm Mackenzie. I'm a freshman. So, how much guidance do we receive when we're kind of trying to find our summer research opportunity? Is it more ourselves, or do we kind of support with that?
Maybe all of it.
Can y'all hear me also? Okay, because I was using the microphone and then Krishna did, and I felt peer pressure. But, but to answer your question, I assume they will be doing this with subsequent cohorts as well, but we got assigned soul coaches, so kind of like a TA, but more so dedicated to like one-on-one mentorship. So there's usually 2, and then they get, like your class gets split up in half, and you meet with them periodically throughout the spring semester, and they are there to kind of be a sounding board for any ideas you have about what your summer to look like, even any questions that you may have like brought up in class that you're still like chewing on that you want to talk over. But if you want like logistical support for like looking for a summer partner, you're having trouble with like getting responses to emails, and you want like a good idea of how to like refine that outreach, things like that, they are a really good person to go to. And then other than that, both Professor Nurkin and Professor Sekwayu have maybe not as much like if you're planning on like going outside of the country, but like they do have connections or people that they know that they'd be willing to make introductions with you depending on like your issue area. And so they will help wherever they can. And then Dr. Ballard is also a really great resource if you have initial questions, especially like there's certain nuances, like for example, at some point I was thinking of interning with a 501c4 organization, and so like the nuances of doing certain like political facing work. If you have questions about that, Dr. Ballard is also a great resource. So there's definitely support, but I would also say like you are expected to take initiative, and like I think you'll get out what you put in terms of support. So like you won't be spoon fed. I think if you come with ideas, shown that like you've done outreach, things haven't been successful, there like people are totally willing to support you through that. But you also can't just like not do anything, if that makes sense.
You jump in?
Can I say? I was going to say that like part of the learning experience is like trying to find your community partner, and you're also going to like learn things as well as you like figure out your community partner. Like I had no idea I was going to be working with dogs for my community partner. I really loved it, but like that was not what I had in mind like going in at all. And so yeah, I mean, I think a lot of good things come out of it too, because I was never in an internship before. And so like I had no idea what to do. I kind of thought I would be spoon-fed, and I was given help. It's not to say you aren't given help, but they kind of teach you like how to do it in the future as well. That's like why I mean it's a learning process. So yeah.
I'm Anna, and what's the like compensation for the summer?
Oh, that's a great question. So Soul Fellows receive $5,000 to support your 8 weeks of your summer experience. However, if you're an international student, and this is not a Duke or Hart Leadership Program rule, this is a federal and state rule, that $5,000 is taxed 15%. So we are constantly as a staff team in conversation about how to work around and sort of ameliorate that challenge for our international students, but currently that is the situation. Yeah, back here.
Hi, I'm Selena, a freshman. How can Soul be compared to other programs for summertime like Duke Engage, for example?
Has anyone here done Duke Engage?
I know a little bit about it. I can. I mean, Duke Engage is like with a lot of people. At least that's what I know. Is that right? Yeah. This is more so like by yourself. Like learning with a partner, and also you get more decision on like what you want to do. With Duke Engage, they have like those specific projects you're already applying to, at least from my understanding. And so, yeah, there's just more freedom, I think, across a lot of aspects.
Go ahead.
I remember when I was considering Soul, I was also comparing it to Duke Engage, because I wanted to do the Duke Engage program in DC, and I had asked, and there is some flexibility where you can do both. It has been done before, but again, to reiterate, the focus of Soul is to be in community with a specific partner and group of people, and so your Duke Engage would have to be situated in the same place as like your Soul community
partner or project, or you can even extend like your Duke Engage project. In the end, I ended up not applying to Duke Engage at all, and I only stick with Seoul, kind of to echo Jason and what he said, because I really, really wanted to go on the island, and like that was really important for me. But I also think Seoul is a lot more like long-term, I feel like, not only in the skills you learn and the experience during the summer, but it's also a 12-month initiative. So you also have a lot more support, both going into it and when you're done. And lastly, even though Duke Engage, you're kind of experiencing an internship with a group of people in a place, and they're all from Duke, you still get that kind of experience with Seoul, where your cohort, like, I love my cohort so much. Like, I'm actually friends with them. I was friends with them before I applied, and then I met new people, and I was like, wow, you people are awesome, and now I get to continue seeing them, like, every week. And so if you're kind of searching for that, I feel like Seoul kind of helps you with that a lot more.
Did you want to jump in?
So, I mean, I was basically going to say along the same lines, like Seoul is a 12-month commitment, and so I think the whole time you're reflecting, the whole time you're building relationships with amazing people who are kind of, again, like you build a shared value system in a way, and you build a shared like framework by which you're like thinking about the world around you and thinking about how you want to navigate the world, both like right now and then after, like even after you leave Duke. I think just like the length of the experience allows you to, like it's just a lot more robust in a way that I don't think Duke Engage could be because of the time constraint.
Yeah, that was super helpful and comprehensive responses from these folks. The only thing I would add is just for Hart Leadership Program in general, like there's a reason that all of our experiential learning programs combine coursework plus summer experience, and that is our understanding that leadership, like it is an art, it is a practice that requires really meaningful and sort of sustained academic study. And so a very key difference between Duke Engage and perhaps some other opportunities on Duke's campus is this course component. You're receiving academic credit for doing very meaningful academic work. And then again, just to highlight that kind of three-part model of like leadership development, the Spring Gateway course is preparation time. Your summer experience is kind of taking action and certainly reflecting throughout the kind of that action piece, and then you return to campus for reflection, meaning making, and drawing lessons that will carry your leadership practice forward. So that the emphasis on the kind of 12-month commitment, I think, is a really important one. But that was a great question. Maybe we'll go back here and then we'll go.
Hi, my name's Leah. I'm a sophomore. Are public policy majors like preferred / required to be part of the program?
Or ask the question again.
Yeah. Is it required to be like a public policy major, or is it preferred that you're a public policy major?
Okay, great question. Yeah, so even though we're located in the Stanford School of Public Policy, so I know that like we give that vibe. No, students of any major are welcome to join the Seoul cohort. And these guys are laughing. I don't know what that means yet.
Because Jason's not football.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm not football.
Yeah. Okay, actually, can all of you share your majors or what you intend to be your major?
Yeah, I'm in frat.
No, I'm a deadly combo, guys. I'm pub-pol econ with a poli-sci minor. Like,
okay. Okay.
I'm global health, international comparative studies, and minor in anthropology. You can truly be whatever.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking also we have a number of folks who have like pre-med ambitions, and like I think usually it's likely a biology major. Yeah. So all are welcome. Okay. Yeah.
So I was just going to ask a little bit more about the involvement that kind of occurs after the 12-month commitment. Like, is there a strong alumni network that kind of comes back? Like, what does that kind of look like after you're done?
That's a good question. I don't know, Sean is our
Yeah,
alum.
I guess on a more personal level, like at least me and my cohort, we try to keep in touch as often as we can, just texting our group chat, maybe trying to like schedule a quick lunch or something on campus. The people that you kind of interact with throughout Seoul are always available to you. So like professors like Bayou, Professor Nurkin, they do have, like most professors, they have kind of guidelines on providing letters of recommendation if that's something that you might go for. But they're like within reason, obviously. It's like, make sure you have actually came to the class and participated. So there's that portion of it as well, and then you'll meet a variety of like community practitioners throughout like Bayou's course and Nurkin's course, and so those are people that you'll meet, you can connect with, get their info either from them when you meet them or from your professor, and catch up with them. When you do your summer experience, you'll go and network with so many different people and create these different relationships. So there is a strong network of people that you will create and make from being in Seoul.
The only thing I would add to that is that the Hart Leadership Program staff team has been growing over the last couple of years, and so I know that within the kind of behind the scenes, we're definitely very interested in growing the kind of alumni connections and possibilities for connection even across Hart Leadership Program programs, experiential programs. So one great example of that, which we hope to be annual going forward, is the Public Purpose Symposium. Everyone mark your calendars for Thursday, September 25th, 10 a.m. to 3:45. It's a day full of events, including some poster sessions where you can come explore some of the summer work from students in Seoul, as well as the Patent Political Engagement Project, our Leadership in Arts Policy Internship, and our Postgraduate Hart Fellowship. So this is one avenue that we are pursuing to kind of try and connect both students within their cohorts and across the Hart Leadership Program community, because we're trying to sort of build this larger, in a way, a kind of countercultural community of practice right here in the Hart Leadership Program. So there are ways to connect, certainly through the existing cohorts and those personal and interpersonal connections, but the hope is for our ways to connect as an alumni to be growing progressively over the next few years. I want to actually just quickly ask a question, and then I saw some hands in the back. What initially attracted each of you to Seoul?
I think for me, I had a fraternity brother who was in Seoul, so he kind of recommended it to me, Kylan.
Okay.
And then from there, I took a look at it. I was doing a lot of like various kind of leadership opportunities on campus my freshman year, and so looking into it, I thought it would be an interesting way to learn about leadership in a non kind of like, I won't say active way, but a less like in a leadership position kind of way, and kind of exploring those theories of leadership. So yeah, that's why I ended up choosing it.
I'm also in RTC, but like a lot of my like the stuff I did in high school was like centered around leadership. I'll tell you, I applied. I had no idea what I was getting into, but it was honestly like really good. Like I'm really glad I did, because as we've all discussed here today, it's like completely reshapes everything you think about leadership, and especially like looking at it, like it's definitely so important to have some of these understandings that we've learned, especially like going into like the work I want to do, and just the work we all want to do, and especially as like future leaders, I just think some of these are just concepts are just extremely invaluable. But yeah.
I think for me, I was at a point of like, oh, I have all these positions on campus, but I don't really know not what they mean, but kind of like their point, if that makes sense. And, you're all here because you're amazing and like, you're really passionate about things, but I think it's very easy to get caught up in titles and like the surface level nature of it all. And so Seoul kind of gave me that opportunity to be like, what do I really want? And more importantly, why do I want it? And then another aspect was just like, I knew a lot of people who had completed Seoul and they kept raving about it. And they're like, oh my gosh, apply. And I'm one of those people.
Can you, I think this is true of your experience, Krishna, that you originally found out about Seoul as like maybe a first year student, and decided to wait and apply.
Yeah, well, what happened was, as a freshman, I felt very lost, and so I just kind of applied to anything that had a button. And my academic advisor, she was like, have you heard about Seoul? Like, I think you should look at the deadline, and the deadline had passed. But I kind of had like marked my calendar for like my sophomore fall, and I was like, no, this is something I actually really, really want to do. And then I came to the info session, and I'm like, wait, I really want to do this. And yeah, and I'm really grateful I did, because I feel like kind of experiencing college first and taking those experiences with me, both in the application and in like the Soul Gateway course and summer experience, I don't know, I feel like it gave me a bit of a buffer when reflecting so much and connecting with like community programs.
What's that?
So I applied to Seoul. It was very last minute. I hadn't really, I hadn't heard much about it in terms of interacting with art leadership or with Stanford, because as I listed, none of my majors are really proximate to Stanford at all. So I had a couple friends and acquaintances or people I'd worked with in other leadership positions I was in who had applied and like gone through the program and really liked it. And so that was something that I was bearing in mind. But I think generally I was feeling, so I think my high school experience was pretty unique in that a lot of the conversations we're having in Seoul were conversations that I was lucky to be having in high school. And I was able to cultivate a really strong community of people who were very aligned in their vision for the world and how they how they moved throughout their lives in order to enact that vision, at a micro community level. And then I came to Duke. And Duke is a very specific environment, and I think I was kind of throughout my freshman year feeling very, very confused as to why I was what I was supposed to do here, and why, because I think a lot of courses, at least in my experience, felt like they were trying to direct me. They were trying to push me in a very specific direction, and not only that, but push me to think in a very specific way that I was really trying to resist. But I think it was very existential. It was very existential. I was thinking many thoughts, and so I was kind of searching for that community that I was able to cultivate in high school, and Seoul looked like a great opportunity for me to do that. And so I took the jump and I applied.
So yes, the Soul is open to first, second, and third year students. Our general line is that it is really well suited for a second or third year student, but you might also be the first year student that is able to come into the program and is ready for the rigorous and intensive experience. So don't let that scare you away if you are a first year student. And we'll take some more questions. Yeah.
This question might be a little more for Jason. In what ways do you think Seoul might have been different for you as a first-year student? Given kind of that full context of this mainly second, third years.
Yeah, good question. I always think Seoul is one of the most valuable things that I've done. And I know I'm a sophomore, so I haven't done that much in college, but at least thus far in my life, this has just been a really, really transformative experience. A lot of my life has changed. Especially just comparing it to some of the leadership roles I have on campus. It's just funny how much is directly applies to some of that. Now, talking about the first year experience, I really don't think it's too different. I think Krishna hinted at a little bit. Most of it's when you're a sophomore or junior, you've been on campus for years, you might be in a leadership position, you're able to apply it better to that. I can kind of get it from that sense. All of us are Duke students though, and I think all of us have some level of, or have associated with leadership at some capacity in high school or anything, or at least know how to be a leader or what leadership is. I don't think there's too much of a difference. I think the main thing is the rigor. These are not easy classes. There are some it's not just madness. There's methods to it, but it's you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work, but you're gonna get out a lot in return.
My name is Adalo. I'm a freshman. And my question is, I'm sure that I'll be like very committed to my experience with Seoul over the summer, but like how much time is there to pursue like other opportunities that you're looking at? Or is it like a full-time commitment in the summer?
It is intended at a minimum to be an 8-week full-time experience at roughly, I can't do the math, but like 320 hours? Yeah. And that experience should be continuous, so we're not looking for kind of like, I'll do 2 weeks here and then 2 weeks here. It should be 8 weeks, but your summer is, what, 14 weeks long? So there's space for 16 weeks?
Long.
So in a lot of our programs, we do have students who will like do their sole experience, and then they'll have, and then I'm also doing this research fellowship, or I'm also doing this job afterwards, or beforehand. So actually, Jason has a good experience of that.
I can say a little bit to that. I didn't work kind of full-time at Vets to Vets because I was also volunteering at the VA. Like, that was part of my project. So, like, a lot of the project is, like, what you make of it. Mine was more so centered around, like, veteran healthcare. And, like, that's just one of the things I'm interested in. And so, like, I guess, you know, I was also, like, working very partially at Duke. Like just to make some extra money on the side, but so like I said, there's just a lot. You know, as Dr. Valor said, you still have to dedicate that time, but there's opportunities to do a lot of cool stuff as long as it's just what you want, really.
I'll also say I think like the first almost month, if not like month of summer, I was home before I went to my summer internship, and I did a 10-week internship, and because I did 10 weeks, I was able to have 1 day a week off and still meet the 320-hour requirement. And so there's ways that like you can kind of maneuver it around to fit your preferences, so that you still have time to do other things, whether it's like another like kind of work or research opportunity, or just like having a 3-day weekend.
You know, the only things I would add to that is what we're really looking to avoid is like how can you have this deep and meaningful immersive experience if you're also taking 2 summer courses? Like that, how, we really want you to be focused on the soul of the work with your community partner. The other piece as well with the timing, it's all about the relationship that you've built with your community partner. Like if the work that they are eager for you to conduct with them takes place in June and July, perfect. So it's really about that conversation that you're having with your community partner. And what's the other thing? Oh, if you are considering a public policy major or a current major, the SOL experience can check the box for your public policy internship. But I would encourage you to stay in conversation with your the career services, review the requirements for the public policy major. But those 2 things can come together in a fruitful way.
And the 400 level course requirement for nurture's class.
Great. Our resident public policy major is here to clarify. Great. Okay, so we have only really like 4 or 5 minutes here, but are there other questions that folks want to raise with the big group? Okay, Natalie.
I was just wondering, I'm Bonnie, I have a question.
Oh, Bonnie, okay.
I was just wondering, beyond leadership, are there any other skills or qualities
Beyond leadership qualities. Okay, great question. A couple of things. I think in all of our Hart leadership programs, we're looking for students who, again, and this is especially the case with SOL, like students who are really ready to like dig deep, who want to ask some really deeply meaningful and reflective questions about your values, who you are, why you're here. And the essay questions that are in the application are kind of designed to elicit those kinds of responses. We also really want to get a sense of your direction, your hopes, your goals, maybe a sense of the questions that are kind of are stuck with you that you're really chewing on. Like maybe you're thinking kind of critically about your experience here at Duke, or you've worked with other organizations in the past and you took this learning from that experience. So we're really looking for folks who want to be in deep and meaningful conversation with their peers and with the readings and approaches that you're being exposed to. So that I would definitely flag. The other thing I would flag is that, again, SOL it's a commitment. And as Jason mentioned, the courses are rigorous. So we're looking for folks who are ready to take on something additional. You're communicating a sense of maturity in certainly in your kind of resume and academic record, but, you know, in your essay responses. And that's about all I'll share. If you'd like to have a more one-on-one conversation, you're very welcome to come through office hours.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for panelists.